Hello, everybody. This is Miss Jerri with Life on the Road Recruiting. Welcome to the online SAP driver webinar. We're going to be starting here in just a few minutes. I have some more participants that are joining as we speak. As soon as I let everyone in, we'll be getting started. I want to thank you guys so much for coming. Excuse me. As we get started, it's important that you be here just to learn, and to educate yourself on this process and how to successfully be on the other side of this process. And again, I'm still letting individuals in. There's about 30 participants that we're expecting throughout. Make sure that as you're coming in, like if you say your name says iPhone, make sure your name is correct according to what what name you registered under. So make sure you go in, click the three dots and rename yourself. But again, like I said, it's important that you be here. Some of you guys have spoken with me over the phone. I've talked to some of you on live on Instagram. Tell me in the chat where you are coming in from, what city, what state, what step you're in the process. I also want to know that. I'm going to do an overview of the process. This is really your time, okay? I'm going to open it up for questions. And when I open it up for questions, that's just your time to go ahead and ask as many questions as you want. And I'm going to be honest with y'all, I get so busy throughout the week. My phone, if you found me on YouTube, you know my phone number is out there. So you know my phone blows up all day long. And so I started these webinars so that I can really focus on the people and really give you my time, because I really can't give it during the week. I can't spend, 30, 45 minutes, 2 hours with you during the week, but this is the time that I really can do that. But as you're checking in, put in the chat where you're checking in from, what step you're on. Florida, I see South Carolina, I see Raleigh, North Carolina, Atlanta, Georgia. Hey, Jalen, welcome. Welcome, everybody. Florida, Connecticut. Hello, Ebony. Ebony Polk is our guest expert. Ebony is the owner of Polk Medical Testing Solutions, and she has solutions. So that's why I brought her here to talk about what she does in the industry as well. Hey, Kenedra, Longview, Texas in the house. Houston, Texas. Hello, Houston, Georgia, Philadelphia, Denver, Colorado. Good. Okay. Like I said, to everyone, as you're coming in, this is going to be an opportunity for you to learn, an opportunity for you to get your questions answered. I'm going to also talk about an opportunity that we have with the trucking company. They're a little strict, but I want to share it with you as well. And then also I have some guests coming on. So I have a trucking company that is taking lease operators to lease onto their authority. So they're going to be coming on and talking about their opportunity. If you have your own truck, or if you're thinking about getting your own truck, I want you to be thinking about ownership. I'm also going to have on some SAP success stories. So I've got some of my SAP success stories that are coming in and talking about where they are, because they were in your place at one point. They were in your shoes at one point, and now they're in a much better situation. So I have some of them coming in and just gonna kind of share some feedback. I've also got a trucking company that's looking for company drivers. So they're looking for company drivers, and so they're going to come in and talk as well. And so this is, like I said, it's just going to be a great opportunity for you to learn, one, take lots of notes, and then hear from others, hear from trucking companies and things like that. Let's see, and I will go ahead and get started. Ebony, are you there? Hello, I see you now. Hey, Ebony. Okay. All right, well, we're gonna go ahead and get started. And as individuals come on, I will just continue to let them in. As we move, just a couple of housekeeping items. As I move through the presentation, myself and Ebony will be kind of tag teaming and going back and forth and sharing information. I want you to, if you have a question that is just, burning, go ahead and put it in the chat and we'll grab it. Write your questions down. There will be a Q&A session after each section of the presentation. All right, so here is an overview of the presentation. Section 1 of the webinar, and we're going to talk about best practices. I'm going to do an overview of the entire return to duty process. We'll talk about best practices in step 5 and 6. We'll do a documentation review. I'm going to show you documents that you need to know what the key things are on each of these documents. I'm going to show you what your SAP evaluation paperwork looks like that goes to your trucking company. You won't get to see this paperwork, but you need to know what it looks like and what they're seeing. We're going to talk about changing truck driving jobs. So if you get a job and then you leave and you go to another one, we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about if you just decide to leave trucking altogether and what you should do to be able to, like, let's say you go and find a job at, Walmart or something, and, you're working in the warehouse and you're good and you won't want to go back on the road, but you're still in step 5 or step 6. And we're going to talk about how to get through that so you can get that check mark in step 6. So we're going to talk about what happens when you leave trucking and how you can continue to go through that process. In section 2, we're going to talk about working for small trucking companies. And I want you to understand the hiring process so that you know if that trucking company is, worth your time, or if you're putting yourself at even more risk by going to a trucking company that's not, maybe not for you. So I'm going to talk about some signs and things that you need to be looking for when going to these small trucking companies, okay? We're going to talk about becoming a professional SAP driver and what that looks like. And what that means to be a professional SAP driver. We're going to talk about what's next for not just your future, but for the future of trucking in general, because as we speak, trucking is evolving. Okay, and we got to be ready for it. And so I'm going to talk about autonomous trucking, all of these electric vehicles that's out here, and how you can position yourself to be prepared for not what's coming, but what's already here. And then the LOTR gateway. So I'm going to introduce that. And that's just kind of like the LOTR gateway is like a tribe. Okay, y'all, because my last participants that were in the last webinar that I did, you guys that are in this webinar, you're now part of my tribe. Okay, we go together. We're going to always be together. Okay, and so as I get new updates, as I get new information, you will be the first to know about it. And then the last part, I have special guests right here and success stories, but they're gonna be coming all through the presentation. You're gonna be hearing from Miss Jerri's friends and success stories and trucking companies and things like that. Just a disclaimer that I always put out in any webinar, any course, any training, anything that I do. Everything that I talk about is based on the FMCSA's guidelines and the return to duty process and getting back to performing safety sensitive functions. Everything is all FMCSA guideline and recommendations. I always encourage everyone to do your due diligence, to go research your trucking companies, to go research, the return to duty process on your own as well. And then any trucking company, and I'm going to say this, any trucking company that comes to any of our webinars, that's on any list that we provide, I want you to do your due diligence, okay? Because I'm not working for any of these companies. So if I refer them, I've done a little bit of diligence, but I need you to still do that extra due diligence. And that's why I do these webinars, so you know what to look for as well. And you guys are, a lot of you have a lot of experience. So you've been around the road, you've been in this trucking industry for a minute, so you know what to be looking for as well. So we'll talk about that. I always start my webinars with some inspiring words. And this is my inspiring word for this weekend. If you're still breathing, you got a second chance. Okay. This SAP violation don't define who you are. It doesn't define, what kind of driver you are, what kind of person you are. It's just a bump in your road. Okay. It's just a bump in your road. And we just going to keep on pushing on beyond this. Okay. And then why? So why I do this and why you guys see me on YouTube and on all the platforms and all the things. I'm a mama, okay? At the end of the day, I'm a mother. I've got 6 kids, 5 boys to be exact. And, my boys, 1 or 2 of them have needed some second chances, all right? And they got and on the other side, they're better men, they're better humans, they're better everything. And so I know that, okay, you make a mistake, but that's not the end of your story. And so I've taken it upon myself to learn this so I can teach it, so I can educate it, so I can go out and help others that need the help, because this isn't if you're in this, this isn't the best place to be system-wise. It is a very hard place to be, but there is hope and a way to get through this on the other side. And so that's why I do what I do day in and day out, to try my best to help. All right, section 1. And before we get into section 1, I see one of my success stories, one of my guys on here, and he worked overnight, and I want to let him come on and talk before me and Ebony get to going and rambling, because, look, y'all know I'll talk. But if you want to come off of mute, this gentleman is on my lives. He be on my lives on YouTube. He be giving advice, information, and all of those things. Come off of mute. His name on YouTube, y'all, is Big Daddy Kane. So if you don't ever hear me say something about Big Daddy Kane on YouTube, or hey, what's up, Big Daddy Kane? This is him. Kanidra? There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. How are you today?
I'm good. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Miss Jerri.
Good morning, love.
Already. Hey, it's a beautiful. It's a little. It's kind of sprinkling out here. So I'm in the East Texas region. So
Yeah.
I know what the weather is. Out
Yes.
here. But,
Yes. You in the oil field, huh? You're in the oil field now.
So this is the name of the company that I work for. It's called Penergy.
Penergy. Somebody write that down. Put that in the chat. Penergy.
So I actually made a video on YouTube. I recorded a video on YouTube the video is called SAP Drivers News You Can Use. And this was when I first started at the company. Mm-hmm. And now I've been here for about it'll be 3 months in next week.
Wow.
So so and it's Penergy. It's P-I. Here, let me kind of
Penergy. I'm gonna put that in the chat. Talk to us about, you don't have to go into detail about your violation, but I want you to speak on, where you were mentally, and then how you was able to just, I know you found one company and then you got into another. So you've gone to 2 companies out of the SAP. And how much overall experience did you have?
Well, I got my CDL in 2021. So I got my CDL in August of 2021. I had my CLP. I got my CLP in I don't know, February. It took me a while to get through that back. But yeah, I've had it since 2021. I kind of it was kind of a little rough at first. I would get this job. One thing that I really noticed about trucking is, I don't know if it's everywhere, but I know in this region, it's a lot of different things, that you really just gotta get used to, what I'm saying, when it comes to becoming a truck driver. And so I've been I heard somebody say that we're not called SAP drivers. That's the wrong terminology for it. Because substance abuse professional.
Yeah.
So substance abuse professional driver, like
that's what SAP stands for, substance abuse professional.
Yeah, and so like they said, I like to refer to myself as a driver with a violation. So I've had my violation since October mid, and so once I became a driver with a violation, it was hard. It really was, because I was so used to driving down these major interstates, and you see trucks on these interstates all day, and like when you're not when you have a violation, you could just throw about 18-wheeler in. They'll have the number on the side, see it. I'm gonna call them up. You can do that. You can't do that when you have a violation. So, and that kind of it kind of puts you in a different mindset. It's a different state of mind, and so it was pretty rough. It really was. But I'll tell you what. I came across Lane Finder. I came across you guys, which I like. You were the best thing that ever happened to me. You were the best thing that ever happened to me. But and my first job coming out of that out of the shop program, it was OTR. Of course, as soon as I became a shop driver, I like I would hear things like it's like the jobs aren't going to be ideal. The home time isn't going to be what you're looking for. You used to be able to negotiate those kind of things. You can't really negotiate. And so like, but there's plenty of opportunities out here. You just got to make sure you keep looking. Make sure, because the crazy thing is, the job that I work now, this job right here, it's in my hometown.
Yeah.
It is my hometown. Like I don't know how. Like
you're local. You're home every day.
Say it again.
I said you're local, right? Home every day.
I'm home every day. I'm at home right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I work 12 hours, overnight, but that's pretty flexible. I'm getting ready to move to, day shift, and as far as like the follow up, I'm in step 6.
Yeah.
Step 6. Like I said, I became a sub driver in October. I was back in the truck by November. So and one thing about the whole SAP program is I was hearing a lot of different stories. And Michael Neal, that is not, you don't need your hazmat. You need your tankers. You just need your tankers. So that's one thing that I was coming. It's just a lot of this. It's just a lot of things that you'll come across when you become a sub driver. That like a lot of us look at TikTok now.
Yeah.
A lot of different things. You get on TikTok and you'll see people. If you type sub driver in on TikTok, you'll see people on there bashing sub drivers, and so it's kind of like you really are like kind of throwing away, but you gotta like you gotta persevere. You gotta keep going. You can't stop. No, I'm not. I'm still in step 6. As far as my follow ups go, I remember listening to you talk about follow ups and the difference between a follow up and a like a return to duty, right? I took my return to duty back in November, and so once, and that was with my first job, but with this job, they had me do my initial pre-employment, and then like maybe 2 weeks later, they sent me for another one. So I was like, okay, this has to be a follow-up. This book. And I remember you saying that on the paperwork it has to mark follow-up, but they marked it wrong. They actually admitted it too. They marked it as a return to duty. I had to call human resources at the actual the corporate office in Austin, Texas. The lady, she was like, "Yo, we marked it as a return to duty, but we came and we saw like, oh, he's already taken his return to duty, but when we sent it, she was like, it should have been counted as a follow-up."
Yeah. And had you not known that, you would have been, you'd have missed the follow-up. You know what I'm saying? That's why educating yourself is so important. Talk about that.
Yeah. Well, a lot of my education came from you. It really did. It came from you. Once I came into this whole thing, I wanted to make sure I had a good understanding of what I was what I was in. So I started. I just went to YouTube. I typed in SAP. I went to your page, checked out your page, saw all the information that you were giving, and like I said, I got my CL in 2021, so I figured that I have to take my career serious. So I looked at Jerri, I looked at all the information. I checked out Mr. Charles the South.
Okay.
He wasn't even the first SAP advisor that I talked to actually, but I found him. I was okay. I got to go with him. So I just made sure I educated myself to the best of my. This is our career that we're talking about. This is our career that we're sitting here having to because it isn't cheap to get your CDL. Like on the low end, you're still talking about a few grand. So you gotta this is important. It's really important information. So, and I just appreciate you, Ms. Jerri, for actually like coming forth and actually being something that everybody can go to because there's a lot of drivers that are in this. Not everybody chose to be a truck driver. But people that did choose to be a truck driver, that 100,000 something people that are shop drivers, they need like a light,
Thank you. Thank you so much. Y'all know I'm a crier. I'll be on here crying all day long because I do see my other success stories on here as well. Excuse me.
Ms. Jerri, I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be real with you. Like this, it's been times where because this is just one obstacle that I've came across. But I'm sorry, y'all. I'm just being real, because it's
sorry, this is heavy. And the reason why it's heavy is because I try so hard, to get you guys through this. And I'm with myself and my girl Ebony on here and Miss Loretta, who's always helping me as well. Like, this is a thankless job, y'all. And this is all free too, for the most part. Okay. And the reason why I do that is because I know you ain't got no money to pay for this shit. You know what I'm saying? And I'm being real, y'all. You ain't got no money to pay for this. Number one, and they don't care. Oh, I'm sorry, I did not mean to break down this, but they don't care. Like, they put you to the side and just forget about you. And y'all forgive me. Please forgive me. But this is real. Like, this is real. And so much Kenedra, thank you so much. I know you tired, baby. You can hop off if you need to. Thank you so much. And you know, I forgive you for bringing me to tears out here on at the beginning of my webinar.
Everybody, how you doing? So again, I'm Ebony Polk, and I'm the owner of Polk Medical Testing Solutions in Bridgeton, Missouri. And I'm always happy to be on here. Miss Jerri, I know this is kind of like out of context, but one of my SAP drivers came in to get a drug screen, and I just asked him to say a few words. His name is Darius, and he's been with me for about 3 years now. So we're kind of like, you know, winding down a little bit on his testing, but I just want him to tell his story real quick and, like, you know, how I've helped him along the way. Come on, Darius.
Good morning, everybody.
Hey, Darius.
How you guys doing? So pretty much my story was well, a while back I was going through some stuff, and I started smoking a little weed, and I dropped dirty, so I lost my job. And then I had to go through the clearinghouse. I cleaned up my act for a little bit. Then I started smoking weed again, got in trouble again. So it's like, okay, I need to clean up who I am, clean up my ways. And so, you know, I just took a step back because I thought it was the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. Yeah, you got to go through some extra stuff to go through this process, but it's never the end of the world. You just gotta take a different route. You know, everything happens for a reason. You just continue to do better, and, you know, just go through the process. Right now, I overheard somebody saying that they are now home every night, and I also am home every night, driving trucks. Yes, I still do the drug screens, and I pass every time, flying colors. Like I said, just had to reevaluate my life. Like I said, I used to be over the road, and over the road stuff was cool, but it's like it wasn't really me. And then God blessed me with a job that I'm home every day. And so, you know, thanks to Polk Medical Testing, Miss Ebony, she's helped me out very much along this journey of mine. So, you know, you guys, if you guys just keep at it, you know, it's not the end of the world. You know, you made your mistake. Hey, we all make mistakes. We're human. Nobody's perfect. So, you know, just continue to be great, continue to put the stuff down, continue to just do what you got to do to be a better person, be a better you. And, you know, just keep at it, you know. Good to meet you guys. Good to see you guys. Good to see you guys are on the right path. And just continue to do what you got to do to keep going forward, and don't go back. Because if you go back, that's where you start messing up, because that's why you're here in the first place, you know. So just move forward, remember what you did, and remember what not to do. So, you know, just keep it up.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Darius.
Thank you, Darius. Look, success stories, and it just.
Yes. Look. I know we was out of order, but I wanted to catch him since he had to come here.
We're gonna be out of order all day today. I've got some others coming in. I've got some companies coming in, and, you know, as I might stop in the middle of our presentation, but let me get back into the presentation, y'all. Thank y'all again so much. Look, forgive me. Okay, I'm human. All right. I'm a mama. I'm a sister. I'm a TT. I'm a grandma. All of those things, and I'm human, and that's what I think a lot of companies leave out. They leave out the human part. You know what I'm saying? And they just looking at your application, and you are so much more than your application. Okay, you are so much more than that application. And really, the people that I work with, the companies that I work with, Polk Medical Testing, so like everybody that I'm connected with, they're human, and they're not looking at you as a number or as a violation or anything like that. They're looking at you as a human, as a brother, as an auntie, as a sister, as a husband, all of those things. So I'm going to move right into the overview of the return to duty process. So as you know, it is a 6-step process. And in that process, let me pull up the FMCSA's breakdown. So this is the FMCSA. This came straight from their website. And I want you to understand what this process looks like. So step 1, after you get the violation, you get the notification or whatever, your very first thing is you find a SAP and you send over the request to your SAP. And SAP, as Kenedrian says, stands for Substance Abuse Professional. Okay, it stands for Substance Abuse Professional. I do not use the technical terms simply because when I say violation or when I say in the clearinghouse, all of those things, nobody understands what I'm talking about. So that's why I've adopted that word simply because it makes it helps people understand what I'm talking about. Number 2 is you designate, the SAP is designate. So the SAP will do that initial evaluation with you as the driver, okay? So you paid your SAP is doing your initial evaluation, and during that initial evaluation, and I'm not a SAP, okay? But I've you know, got a lot of SAPs in my network. I've communicated with a lot of SAPs, but they're asking you the question to determine the nature of your violation, the nature, whether it's habitual, whether it's, you know, this is recreation or whatever it is, so that they can make a good determination of the treatment and assessments and things like that that you need. After they evaluate you, you go on to step 3, which is the assessment. So they do the assessment and things like that. You have to, some SAPs will send you for training, some SAPs will send you online. So I've had SAPs that send drivers in person treatment and different things like that. So it just depends on your SAP and your situation. Everybody's situation is different. So we can't say, you know, one person, it took them a week to get through their SAP and get their check mark in step 4. Some people, it might take them, you know, a month, 2 months. And so it just depends on your situation. Now, after your SAP has done all the evaluation, you did all the treatment and everything like that, they feel like you're ready to go back and get back in the truck, then usually most SAPs that I do know some and have talked to some that don't do this, but most SAPs will send you to take a drug test, okay? And that drug test is not, it's normally, it's like a non-DOT drug test. I call it a practice drug test, okay? And basically they're sending you, if you fail, it doesn't go against, it's not another violation in the clearinghouse if you fail in step 4, okay? It's just like a practice run to make sure that you're gonna be good to go to the next company, okay? Now, once you're good, they sign off, they give you the green light, you're ready to go, then you're ready for step 5. And in step 5, you have a check mark in step 4. And then in step 5, that's the green light. That means that, you know, you're no longer in step 5, you have to find a trucking company. That's the place where you go, you look for a company, and then they do the return to duty drug screen. Okay, and we're going to show you what drug screens look like, what you need to be looking for, what that paperwork looks like as well. Because I've had too many drivers that, like Kenedrian said earlier, he said they messed up his paperwork, but he only caught it because he knew, because he had been learning from me. He knew what to look for and what to do when it came to the paperwork part of it. The next thing is in step 5, and Ebony, I'm gonna let you talk about step 5 and the return to duty process with the negative results, and also go into step 6 as well.
Okay, no problem. So after you're finished step 4, your SAP sent you to go get like that practice test. Then you're ready to actually go take that real return to duty test. Now, once you find that sponsor company that's going to hire you, they'll send you for a return to duty test. So I need to make sure you guys are making sure that they're sending you for an RTD test, because it's not a pre-employment test. It's not a random test. You have to have a return to duty test. Now, once you go take that test, of course, you know, all it has to be observed from here on out. All tests that you do take have to be observed. So you have to make sure on that paperwork that they're marking that it was observed. It will not count if they send you for an RTD test and then it's not observed. That still is like you just went to take a free test, because it does not count. So make sure it says return to duty. Make sure it's observed. And if you are a woman, it needs to be observed by a woman. If you are a male, it needs to be observed by a male. Once that company or that consortium gets that negative RTD test, then we'll instantly go into the clearinghouse and we'll change your violation from prohibited to not prohibited. Then you're in step 6. All right, now step 6 is just your follow-up testing plan to be completed, right? Now that's going to at least take you 12 months, depending on if this is your first or second violation, depending on what your SAP has you testing. So you'll have a minimum of 6 drug screens within the first 12 months of that RTD test that you took. So I just like to tell my drivers, just every month, just go ahead and put your $65 to the side, so you know, like, this is what you have to pay for your drug test. Once you know it's coming, just stay clean. Make sure you are, having a good attitude, staying clean. Go when they send you that paperwork to go get that drug screen, you need to go as soon as they send you to go get that drug screen. Don't let that paperwork expire, because guess what? That could be a refusal. That paperwork can expire. Even though it says a follow-up test, it's randomly. So this is considered a random drug screen, even though it says follow-up, and you could potentially be in the clearinghouse with a second violation. So we just want to make sure, we're checking our emails, our text messages. And if it's been some months and you haven't went to go get a follow-up test, call your employer. Say, hey, it's been 2 or 3 months since I've taken my RTD test. I know I have to take a follow-up test. I need to get scheduled, because this is your livelihood. They really don't care, because you're out making them money. So you need to make sure that you're educated on knowing that it's time for you to go get, a follow-up test if it's been a while.
I'm sorry, on the screen is the test results for a return to duty test. I'm going to also have a donor pass. So this is this is a donor pass. And so they're also, this is what you take. This is what the company gives you before you even go to take your test. Okay.
Right.
And they have this also at the lab. At the lab, you need to be looking at this paperwork. Your paperwork needs to say, if you're in step 5, it needs to say return to duty right here where it says test reason. It needs to say return to duty. This is a follow-up. So this is step 6. And each time, as Ebony said, it's got to say observe collection right there. Okay. If you get a paperwork, right, and it doesn't say observe collection, and it doesn't, if it says random, okay, because I get this all the time. If you get one and it says random test, that did not count for your follow-up. Okay.
Yes. And Miss Jerri, sorry to cut you off. That just happened to one of my drivers yesterday. I sent him like a paper chain of custody, because he's in like a kind of a rural area where it's not electronic. So I sent him a paper chain of custody, and I marked follow-up, observed, everything on there. But when he went to the facility, they told him that they couldn't take my paper chain of custody. They would have to use theirs, and they marked random on his test. It wasn't observed or nothing. So I'm like, it doesn't count. So make sure that it says all that information on there.
Good. Brian asked, the driver has to pay for each follow-up test. It depends on the company. I have some small companies that they'll take it out the driver's check, each
Yes.
follow-up test. I have some, and then, you know, some larger companies, they won't make you pay for it. So it just depends on the company. That's a really good question.
That is.
But I want to go back to, and let's see, Zoom user, I don't know who you are, it just says Zoom user. So what if I was employed with return to duty but got fired? What happens? We'll talk about that with changing truck driving jobs. Yeah. Nelson Mon says step 5, but I'm doing follow-up. Yes, that is correct. So you want, that's a really good point. Let me go back to this chart right here. So you're in step 5. You take your return to duty. That's the very first thing that you do before you get back in the truck. Okay. Yes. And you need to make sure that's done before you get in a truck, because what's happened, I've had drivers that got in a truck because they done found, you know, Mr. Such and such down the street, and he say he let me run in his truck and this and that. Look, the minute something happens, the minute somebody cut you off and the police want to pull you over, guess what? They have access to the clearinghouse, so they can see if you prohibit.
Yeah.
Especially the DOT officers have access to the clearinghouse. They can see if you're driving prohibited, and they are pulling over and finding companies and finding drivers left and right for driving while prohibited. So you don't want that strike on your license, because that turns into you becoming an imminent hazard to the motorist on the roadway. Okay. Yep. And they will blast you on TikTok. I know y'all done seen the pictures of FMCSA posts of people that's imminent hazards. You don't want that. Okay. So do not drive without that check mark in step 5. Okay. So the return to duty test in step 5, it has to be your negative test. And then you go into step 6. Now, this is a shock to everybody, what I'm about to say, because every driver that I talk to, they think that the FMCSA got this fantabulous system, and they don't. Okay. When you get that check mark in step 5, you do not get a check mark in step 6 until you are done with the very last test. Okay. Yes. And nobody is keeping up with your test in the clearinghouse. If you go from, you know, ABC trucking to DEF trucking, ABC has to send over the new paperwork to DEF of what you did at ABC. If ABC doesn't send it over, you got to start over on step 6 on your follow-up test. Ebony, let's go into
Oh yeah, nice to put a face with the name. Yes. So it is very, very important. We have to pay attention to that. Now, if you're switching, trucking companies while you're going through this process, you need to have those results that you have taken tests, because when you go to your next company, they're going to ask you for that paperwork. If you tell them you did 5 tests, they're going to ask you for all 5 test results and that chain of custody form. So the chain of custody form is what you receive when you leave after you get your drug screen. They give you that paperwork. That's your chain of custody form. So you have to make sure you get those results. Now, the people that are in my program, I keep up with all of that, and if they switch to another carrier, I send them all that paperwork over. But not everybody is going to do what I'm doing for my people and my drivers. So we have to make sure that you keep all of that paperwork, because it's very important. You don't want to pay for 5 tests and then you switch a company, you don't have any results. You go to this next company and you have to start the process all over. The clearinghouse does not keep up with your test. They don't know how many numbers. That is for the consortium to know, or the trucking company, their HR or whoever's doing their back office. That's for them to know and to keep up with. So make sure when you guys are going to get those drug screens, you're keeping that chain of custody form, and you're asking for those results.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Okay, so the big things on this slide is in step 6, you do not, your drug tests that you take are not kept in the clearinghouse. Okay, you do not get your check mark in step 6 until you're done with all of your tests, and that will only be determined by your SAP. Okay, and we're going to talk about that here in just a second. So I'm glad y'all are putting y'all's questions in there. Save them, and we're going to make sure we go through them here in just a bit. All right, so we've kind of gone through some best practices in step 5 and 6, but we're going to go through questions that you need to be asking trucking companies. I'm going to give you an overview of the hiring process, like what to expect. And if they're not doing it, I need you to be asking yourself, okay, now why they not doing this? Ms. Jerri said that they supposed to be doing this right now. Okay, so you're gonna be able to understand that. We're gonna talk about driving while prohibited. We kind of touched on that a little bit. Practice drug test, the return to duty testing, follow-up testing plan. I'm gonna show you one. I have one from a driver. I've marked out their name and all those information. I'm gonna show you what a real follow-up testing plan looks like. Changing truck driving jobs, deciding to leave trucking for a while. That's where Miss Ebony is going to talk about her program. And then documentation, review, and storage. Okay. Questions to ask. Okay. Questions to ask the trucking companies when you're applying or when you're inquiring on whether they're hiring or not. Do you hire SAP? Or do you have hired drivers who had a violation in the clearinghouse? They should know what that means. Okay. If they don't know, question, okay? Question, whether you even need to move forward, because all trucking companies should know what a violation is in the clearinghouse. All trucking companies should know what a clearinghouse is, because everybody effective 2023, January 6th, everybody is required to use the clearinghouse. Will you send me to take a return to duty and follow-up test? Those are questions that you need to ask. Do I need to pay out of my pocket for the drug test? Ask those questions so you won't be surprised later on. Are there any SAP drivers currently working for your companies or for your company, or can I talk to them? Anything like that, because that's going to further help you prepare for going into that company. And like I say, use your discernment. Use your discernment, because you know what's good and what's right for you. And if a red flag go off or some red bells go off, you need to question it. You need to ask yourself, do I need to go down this road with them? Am I gonna get paid? Are they not gonna pay me? Am I gonna be safe out there? Because here's the thing, and that's what I tell all my drivers. If you go with one of these shade tree companies, right? And you get you're going through the process and all of those things, and they're not doing no checks. And you're like, dang, where the checks? And I thought they were supposed to do this, and Miss Jerri told me they were supposed to do that. Well, if they're not checking and doing the hiring process right, guess what else they're not checking? They're not checking your brakes. They're not checking your oil. They're not checking to see if you're gonna break down in the hills of North Carolina. Okay, they don't care about you. So you make sure that you find somebody who cares about you, or who is at least going to be doing these checks and takes their trucking company serious. That's what's important. And if you can't find anybody, then we're going to talk to you. We're going to talk about going outside of trucking to find a job, and what you need to be doing, which is Miss Ebony's program, what you need to be doing to be able to still get that check mark in step 6. Because we got a lot of drivers who have just said, you know what, the market is down, a lot of companies not hiring, and that's okay. I'm gonna go, I got a plant down the street, I got a warehouse over here, I can go work over here, but I still want to get this check mark in step 6. And that's what Miss Ebony gonna talk about. Okay. The hiring process. So in the hiring process, you got to submit an application. If the company don't have an application, that's a big red flag. Okay, that's a major red flag if they ain't got no application. You got to sign releases. They have to have your permission, right? They need permission from you before they can go start running your clearinghouse, running your driving record, running your MVR, all of those things. That's why you sign all those releases. And that's why every company that you've gone to work for, they send you those releases and say, hey, I need you to sign these releases. Okay. That's why they have to do that, because it's just like your credit report. Ms. Jerri can't pull your credit report and look at your credit score and all your, derogatories and excellence and all of those without getting your signature, without you signing a release. So it's the same thing with your truck driving jobs, okay? They're going to request a query. They're going to send you a query request after you sign the release. They're going to send you a query and say, hey, this is such and such company, and they want to look at your clearinghouse report. Okay, and they once you release it, because you got to release it, they can't look at it without you releasing it. Once you release it, that's when the green light goes, and they start looking at the violation. They start looking to see where you are and all of those things. Like I said, if that's not done, you need to start asking questions. Okay. Driving while prohibited. Okay, the consequence for a driver is a $6,000 fine. The consequence for a trucking company is a $32,000 fine. And that company is going to close their doors, okay? Because they ain't going to pay that $32,000, or they're going to try to do their best to get up out of it. And then they're going to close their doors and they're going to open up with a brand new name, a whole new shiny color on their truck and new numbers, DOT numbers and everything. And you will still be left holding the bag with that $6,000 fine that they gave, that you ended up getting. So it's important that you, do your due diligence. Don't be driving while prohibited. Two violations, it does make it more challenging, but I have a lot of drivers with 2 violations, and there's, like Darius, who Ebony, he's got a job, he local, and he didn't learn the first time, okay? But he learned the second time, and y'all see Darius coming up in there on a Saturday morning early, bright and early, to take his drug test so he can go back to work at that good job he got. So sometimes it takes us a minute to get it together, but we do get it together, okay? SAP companies to reach out to. So here's the part where everybody needs to be listening up and sitting up straight, okay? Make sure that you have 2 months ago, we probably done added somebody on there. We probably done added some new companies on there. And we reach out to the companies and we talk to them. And we're a recruitment agency, okay? Our primary companies, we recruit for about 50 or 60 companies, but our companies are the big box companies, okay? That's who we recruit for. Just 3 years ago, I had a driver that called me and he needed support. He was just like, Miss Jerri, I'm in the SAP and I don't know what to do. And I was like, okay, well, let me start trying to figure this out. See if I can help you, baby. And that's kind of how I got started in learning about this. None of these companies we hire for, okay? Any company on that list, I don't hire for them. I don't get a referral, a kickback, nothing. I just got a list that I make sure that my team keep updated as we get more companies. Now, somebody on that list may have fell off and said, hey, look, we ain't got no trucks. But when we do have more trucks come in, we hire staff drivers, okay? So that's why I say you gotta be like continuously checking the list, following up with the companies, because if they don't hire today, they might hire again in 6 months. They might hire again in 3 months. So those are just companies that either we've called or drivers have told us about when we call and different things like that. I got to put Pinergy on that list as well. Thank you so much, Kenidra, and I'm going to be adding them to the list. So make sure, I'll send that after the webinar. Beverage companies. Okay, so I have a lot of drivers that go and, can still use their CDL, like Pepsi, Budweiser, Coca-Cola, a lot of these food companies and stuff like that, local food delivery services. I have a lot of drivers working at these types of companies. Most of them, your Coca-Cola, your Pepsi, Yeah, Budweiser, most of them are local. Most of them will hire you locally. Also, some LTL companies, not necessarily the big box LTL companies, but some of them, okay, some of these LTL companies, like let's take FedEx, for example. FedEx has contractors. Those contractors will usually hire SAP drivers. Okay. Those contractors are usually looking for drivers and they will hire SAP drivers. Don't be too good and say you won't get in a box truck. Okay. Or you won't get in a cargo van. Okay. You want to get in to whatever opportunity you can get in to continuously make money. And the other thing right now is the market is not the greatest right now. Okay. The market is not the greatest. I had just a regular company that doesn't hire SAP, but they told us, hey, look, we got 500 applications and only 30 positions left. And it's a big company. Okay. This is a big company. So I know that the industry is not where it was a year ago. Okay. Where it was a year ago, there was a lot of big box companies just like passing out jobs to everybody. Hey, everybody just come on board, right? Now, today, that's not it. Okay, it's a little bit tighter market. Now, what I'm hearing in the industry is that if we can hold on till August, September, October, then the market is going to really open wide. And then once the market opens wide, the rates are better, fuel's down, then we'll see a bigger push for more companies opening up and hiring drivers. Local food delivery service companies. I know in Houston, there's some smaller food delivery companies like Glacier and I think Jake Finer Foods is one. Some of these companies, while they might have box trucks, but they do have semis. Those are companies that you want to look at. Check Craigslist. Check Craigslist. Another thing, and Mr. Mack, I think you the one did this, and you the one gave me this idea, and I've been telling drivers about it ever since. Mr. Mack put an ad on Craigslist. Okay, Mac, are you still on here? Yes. Wasn't you the one put the ad on Craigslist? Uh-oh, I can't hear you. Let me see if I can unmute.
I wasn't the one that put it on there, but thanks for the information.
Okay, well, let me go all into it. So I had a driver that put an ad on Craigslist, okay? And in the subject line of your Craigslist ads, they might run $20, $25, you know, and maybe 30. And if it's a big city, it'll be, you know, like $30. But this driver put an ad on Craigslist, and this is maybe about a year or so ago, and he got so many calls, and he just said, I've had to go through the SAP. I have a violation in the Clearinghouse. I'm looking for an opportunity. I have 2 years of experience. Here's my contact number. I have this endorsement. I got that endorsement. And he got so many calls from trucking companies looking to hire him. And so that's that initiative. You take that initiative, you stand out, and your phone gonna be ringing like crazy, okay? So that's a great opportunity, something that you should be doing as well. Yard jockey jobs. There are a lot of companies, like you're in the Georgia area, you got Laser Spot. There's another one, I can't think of it, but they will hire you as a yard jockey. Here's the thing about yard jockey. It doesn't count towards your Class A CDL experience. Okay, if you're just driving around the plant in the yard, it will not, and moving trailers and things like that, it will not count towards your CDL experience. So I've had drivers with 0 experience go get a yard jockey position and then think it's going to count towards their experience. So I try to educate and share that, no, it won't count towards your experience. The only time it's going to count towards your experience is if you actually get off of the yard and drive onto a regular street. Okay, if you drive, even if it's just, you know, a street. It's not a highway or interstate or anything like that. If you drive from the yard and go shuttle trailers from plant to plant, then that counts as experience. And then the last thing, take a practice drug test. Okay. If you feel